Technical. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Technical. Can you hear me now? Okay, that's good. At least you can hear me. I'm just trying to make sure the volume is in the correct place. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm trying to stream with OBS and I've not done that. So it's kind of a bit technical trying to see the messages and stream at the same time. So if you don't see me on the screen, just know that I'm trying to swap screens. Hopefully I'll get it right at some point. A journey of 100 miles begins with one step. Yeah. So welcome, and I really appreciate your presence. Thank you so much for taking time out in your busy schedule to attend to this. Like Dr. Damages will say, he will say it's urgent matters. Urgent care. So this is urgent care matters that needs to be treated. And hopefully this change starts with people speaking up, and hopefully we will find justice for Don Davis and as many are in his shoes. So thank you so much. So I appreciate your presence. So without wasting much time, I'll just go to the matter for which we are here. And please, I have received so much messages from my last video, and if you've not seen it, probably it would be nice to see it. That way you can get up to speed with what we are discussing at this moment. I've been trying to delete a lot of messages from trollers, so please, somebody here, if you're a troller, please be mindful of the kind of comments you leave. Remember, it's not just about me. It's about people's life being at stake. Yes, there are so many people who are suffering and dying in silence because of what they've been put through as a reason of childhood experience. So, and some of those people are trying to find peace through the voices of people like Deborah Okezie and her son, Don Davis, who have made themselves available for others to hear what people go through them. So just be mindful that if you're leaving comments, think again about it. Your comments, will it actually edify somebody, or you're just trying to prove a point? God help us. So I'll just flip screen so that I can see your comment. Can you hear me? Please, somebody just say you can hear me again, so it's not like I'm talking to myself. Thank you for coming, Extra Step CEO. Thank you, Adeoye. I see you. Thank you, Linda. I see you. I really appreciate your being here. Yeah, thank you so very much. So, the first point that I'm going to be discussing regarding this matter, probably somebody is just hearing about this for the first time, so I'm just going to give another brief, and I will also leave the link of my previous video after this live stream for you to connect and watch and come up to speed with what is going on. So this young little, I don't know how old exactly he is, but obviously he's starting first year in high school. He was sent off looking really chubby by his parents to high school. And what happened? He got there, in fact, from the last update where he spoke on camera, the mom gave him camera to gave him audience. He went to school. He started school on the 8th of October 2020, and just before Christmas. And I was trying to count. It wasn't even up to 12 weeks. Yeah, before his mom went back to check up on him because of the dream she had. He was pure skeleton, honestly. He's been physically abused. He was malnourished, dehydrated, and he was molested, yes, through the anal passage. It was so bad that it required him to have medical stitches. I've also received comments on my comment section. Of course, I have taken that down, saying, where is the report? Where is the medical evidence? Before people leave comments, Can we just think about it again? I'm coming back to this comment issue. Yes, if you've not gotten the full story, then please don't leave comments, because you might be causing more harm than good. And I'm just trying to look at myself for just putting out a video within 2 days. The kind of, I've absolutely gotten an amazing response from people, and I hope Deborah Okezie and her family will get the opportunity to read some of them. They are absolutely amazing. Lots of people are standing for them. I cannot deny that. However, there are a few who just leave certain comments without actually getting the full story, especially when it comes to things about molestation and rape. It's important for us to be sensitive, because actually that is people's life banking on those things that you're doing. You actually might be causing harm to somebody. Probably you've not thought about it. You might think it's just a video. I'll leave any comment. But those comment sessions were made by YouTube so that people can come back and look at them and get updates and get refreshing or closure or whatever from those comment sessions. So be wary what you write in a comment section. Thank you once again, everyone that has joined me. And without beating too much about the bush, I'll just get on with it. I don't know. I'm just reading Adioye's comment in the comment section. She said, I still don't understand why nothing has been done about this matter. It is so annoying. You can tell me about that. You can absolutely tell me more about that. I'm also wondering why that nothing has been done. Now, in a civilized country, when a thing like this comes up, as soon as it hits the air, the government takes action. The police goes into action to begin to make inquiries. Because somebody was saying in my comment section about they've not seen any police report. I said, who says so? And even if the parents didn't know to go to report to the police should take it up, because this is something that is really serious. The citizens of every nation matter to the nation. The government should not the government should not wait to be invited. They should actually take up the issue immediately and check on it. I know the woman has reported something about the Commissioner of Education coming into the matter, but from her perspective, obviously, she's been blamed for bringing it to the social media. I don't know how and why social media has become an issue in Nigeria, because even with the NSAS, it ended up with blames of social media, but people are not addressing the actual matter. The actual matter that the young boy went to school, not just any kind of school, a fee-paying school in Nigeria, and the school represents Christianity, yes, and Deeper Life is known for all its ways of doing things and holiness and all that. So it's for me to send my child to such a school, there is a level of expectation, and it's important therefore that such things are not heard of. Yes, human beings can do and undo, we know that, but there needs to be proper staffing, not just the ordinary staffing that are well aware, and monitoring should be taking place. There has to be people. If there are housemasters, they need to know what is going on. They need to be on ground. They need to review. If a child is walking in a funny way, like we heard in that video, it's important for the school authority. Don't just ask the boy and he says nothing and you just leave it. You obviously see a child in distress. So child issue and safeguarding is a big thing that needs to be taken seriously in Nigeria. Now, my first point in terms of why I am coming to this life is basically I drew it from a lot of the comments and feedback I got. And the first thing I want to say is consenting. Yes, consent. It is important in the healthcare setting. Before you do anything to a patient, anyone that comes to you, you will have to there are different ways of getting consent. The first one is a verbal. Yes, I'm going to do this to you. Is that okay? And the person says, yes, go ahead. I'm going to check your blood pressure. Is that okay? And the person says, go ahead. Then you go ahead. Other time, you have to actually, if you have been to the hospital to have procedures, then the doctor tells you all about what you're going to go through and gives you an information that has been written down, documented of what you're going to go through, the procedure, the side effects, and the expected outcome. And after you have read that, So you make an informed decision. You can now append your signature to say you are happy to go ahead with the procedure. And then there are some that are called implied. And implied literally means if I'm coming to check your blood pressure, as soon as I bring out my blood pressure cuff, what happens? If you stretch out your hands before I say a word, I know you already know. So yeah, if you lift your hand and stretch it out to me as you see my blood pressure cuff, automatically you are giving consent because you've brought out your arm, and on your arm I'm going to be checking the blood pressure. Yeah, so consenting is something that needs to be taken seriously these days in Nigeria. The truth is that this thing happened to this boy, and this boy's life will be impacted. Well, take it or leave it. There will be times when he will have his moments, yeah. But our prayer is that with the right amount of support and adequate support that he will get, and he's getting from his parents and all of you who are using your platforms to speak up and making sure that Don Davis finds justice, that he will recover, healing will come. But you know that there are some wounds that leave scar, and those scar, you see it, and every time you see it, it reminds you of what happened. Yeah, it might not be a physical scar. Hopefully his backside will be healed properly, and he won't be using mirror to look at it, but there is emotional scarring that is there, and from time to time it will creep up. So it's how we deal with those wounds now that will determine how painful those scars and how gory those scars will be for a child in the future. And that is why the mom is screaming out. She's not screaming out because she has data or money to buy data. She's screaming out because she needs help. And so giving consent is important. And why am I mentioning consent? I've read quite a few comments in other videos and even in my video, and people saying things like, I went to boarding school many years ago and it has been happening. If you go to several boarding schools, you will see that these things are happening. This is not new. So why is this different? But I want to say, I also went to a boarding school in Port Harcourt, yes. And I cannot deny the fact that I've not heard children trying to, or not seen children trying to experiment their puberty at that point. But the difference here is that this child, Don Davis, did not consent to what was meted out to him. And the people who did this to him, the seniors who did this to him, they themselves did not do it because they were looking for any form of comfort or pleasure. Well, they must have gotten some form of pleasure by inflicting pain, whatever weird pleasure they think they got. No, their motive was not pleasurable. Their motive was to inflict pain on this young boy. And so the difference, in as much as I do not condone those puberty experimenting, but human beings are human beings, and it might happen. Like I said, please, I do not condone it, but yeah, it does happen. But the difference here is that this child did not give his consent. He did not give his consent at all. He was violated. He was molested, even when he was in pain. And that brings me to my second point. The fact that that school represents Christianity or Christendom. Deeper Life, we all know, when you hear Deeper Life, you know what you are expecting. When I'm sending my child to such a school, there is a level of moral expectation for me to pay that amount of money. And one of them is the fact that I'm running away from this type of molestation behavior and unruly behavior and ungodly behaviors that children exercise. I'm expecting that other parents who will bring their children into this said Christian school would have brought up their children in some certain ways, yes, ways that signifies what Christ will do. That will have gone through that mom. And I'm just putting myself in the shoes of that mom, that these are the things I will take into consideration before putting my child in a school like Deeper Life School. And so to be even begin to think about the fact that such things happen in that school. Okay, let's assume human beings are human beings, like I said before. But the fact that it wasn't for experimenting, no, it was to inflict such severe pain on another person. like they must have come from Christian homes. The school must be teaching some form of Christianity or some form of doctrines or some form of Christ-like behavior. So that leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of anyone, including myself, that is hearing this. And I want to believe that is what is infuriating this mom to speak up. So for children raised in such homes and for children in such schools, then a question needs to be asked. Can we go back to the drawing board and determine what kind of Christianity we are practicing? If our children will derive pleasure in inflicting pain towards others without a conscience, that is not Christ-like. So that is another point. I wrote a few of the points down, so if I look down, just know that I'm trying to make sure that I don't deviate. And I'm just going to take a minute to read some of your comments. Lord. Sorry now. So, I'm just reading some comments now. Sorry, I've missed quite a few. Then I'll continue. I'm just reading comments. Then says the sad part of it is that it's not something new. This has been going on for ages. I do not know why people think Christian boarding schools are exempt. Jesus' death was orchestrated by the church. Hello everyone. Tochiku, you're welcome. I'm just trying to read the comments and I see, is it note? This makes me so mad. Honestly, it makes me mad too. And welcome. Say, please, can I say that because Don Davis is a child, this issue of consent does not apply. He is a child and does not understand consent. Okay, let's talk about that now. So, Tochiko was saying something about consent. Well, there were no adults there, and I want to say the kids that did this to him, I think they said they are SS1. So, like somebody analyzing, I was watching a video. I think it's Adiola Adioye. I hope I got your name right. Sorry. She said something about the fact that those children might be somewhere around 16. Yeah, if you check for someone that is in SS1, probably about that. So their parents were not there. Yes, it is not right. I'm not justifying the fact that they should even seek consent to do anything. But people are leaving certain comments like, oh, it's been happening. Oh, it's nothing new. Oh, you know, trying to dismiss it, make it look like, oh, this shouldn't be strange. Like I said, I did attend a boarding school and I cannot say it is strange. No, I'll be lying if I say that. But what I will be saying is that most of those ones, the people involved gave their consent. But in this case, this boy was not asked. He didn't give his permission for these boys to do what he did to them. So that's where the consenting comes in. Obviously, they will not be asking their parents for consent to molest a child. And exactly, consent is the difference between rape and having normal sexual relationship. Yes, even between couples, we cannot say we've not heard couples accusing a partner or a wife accusing their husband of raping them. And people will be like, oh, how can your husband rape you? Well, we have come to know that by the law, if the person, whether your wife or whoever or your husband, if the person says no, they have not given consent. So they're not consenting, irrespective of the fact that you are in a relationship. So if you have a partner, a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they have said no, I don't want. If you go ahead, if you progress when they said they don't want, you are violating them because they've not given their consent. So that is the difference between rape and regular sexual activity. And so even in this child's case, let's assume they are both children, they are all children. The boy did not say, go ahead and do this to me. I want to try it out. He didn't want to experiment. He didn't ask for it. They actually violated him using their influence as seniors. And that's why they could do that to him. I'm sure if it was his classmates that he was able to speak up for or he was able to face up to, they wouldn't be doing that because he will be challenging them. So the only reason why they were able to do that to him, number one, they outnumber him. Number two, they are claimed seniors. And if you attended school in Nigeria and even in my own times, you will know when they say senior, you know what it means. So that is why I am talking about consent in this case. And I'm just going to take one more comment and then I'll continue because I don't want this to be too long. It's a vicious circle. Yes, Cops then says it's a vicious circle. Seniors that did this probably had other seniors that did it. I get it. That's exactly the point. And that will bring me actually to another point that I'm going to be addressing. So change, when we look at this woman, change comes with something different happening. We cannot want change and continue to do the same thing. And if we go back as Africans, back to the history of slavery and the freedom of slavery and church and rights and all of that, one person that was outstanding is Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King stood out because he decided not to stand with the crowd. He decided to stand apart. And that brought about a lot of change that we all are enjoying. And so this woman has made herself that change, because most of these things are a vicious circle. So people assume because they have a place of influence, I'm a senior, I'm your father, I'm your mother, I'm your uncle, I'm your elder, I'm your governor, I'm your prime minister, and they abuse people by virtue of the influence or authority they have over you. So this is something that needs to change. And the fact that the society does not make it easy for people who are abused to come out and speak up, then change needs to happen. Now, if you have some of the comments that I got in my comment section were people who were actually expressing the fact that they were abused many years ago. In fact, there's a lady, or I think it was a lady, said she's now 53 and she was abused as a child and is still a big burden to her. So you can imagine. And if you are that parent, you don't want your children to go through the pain that you've been through. If you're carrying a scar as a result of an abuse from childhood, then it's something you want to make sure that your children do not experience. I think that's we can all agree that that's an expectation or the fight for every parent to make sure that our children are better than us, better in every way, better academically, better in exposure, and even their experiences. So some of the reasons that propel a lot of parents, especially in Africa, to pay gigantic amount of money to educate their children in private school is because obviously the public schools are nothing to write home about, and so they make all sorts of sacrifices to make sure that their children get the education that is required. So that is why it's heartbreaking that this did not happen in a public school, although whether public or private, it shouldn't happen at all. Nobody should be violated, but because they paid such amount of money with so much expectation and this happened, it's even heartbreaking. And so change comes with somebody paying the price, the ultimate price, the sacrificial price. And that is this woman in this case, bringing her voice, putting her son out there. And I also hear comments like, oh, this boy is a child. Why don't you blur his face? Don't put him. You know, some of the excuses are don't put him in the social media. You're destroying him. Schools will not take him. He will go out with stigma. Change comes with somebody staying aside, apart from the crowd. Now, in history, there are three groups of people. There are people who make things happen. Yes. There's another group of people who watch things happen. And then the third group of people is the people who wonder how these things that are happening are happening. So the question you ask yourself, and I ask myself now, where do I want to belong? Do I want to be among those people who make change happen? Or I want to be an observer, observing others making change happen? Or am I going to be those people baffled that change is actually happening? So if we want change, then we have to do things differently. We should stop and we should try and break this whole culture of a vicious circle. It is bad for our lives, bad for our children, and bad for our children's children. And the society is deteriorating because we are allowing certain culture to prevail. So for once, let's show support for a mother, because we cannot relate that her child has been abused. Let us forget about the fact that the child will be stigmatized. If we say no to stigmatization, then the child will have a better life. By us participating, speaking out, seeking justice for this boy, then it will be a different story for him. Who knows who is the other person? And there are people who are actually living through this woman's voice. They will never or may never be able to share their own experience publicly. But the fact that this woman and her son are putting themselves out there as the sacrificial lamb will give a lot of people closure, because they are living through the voice of this woman. And so when we try to shut this singular woman up and her son, we are actually trying to shut out thousands of people that we may never know that are dying in pain because of not being able or having that courage to speak up. So change comes with us doing something differently. And this woman has chosen to do something differently. Instead of us to criticize and crucify her and her son, can we just support her? It's heartbreaking, because they from most of the updates, the last update I just watched yesterday from Somako's place and other ones I've watched, obviously her account has been hacked, brought down, but the woman, she's resilient. She's found another account and she's also uploading. I know she said today she was going to see the commissioner of police and all of that, and that we should be keeping an eye out for her. So they move out of their home. They are staying in an unknown destination, not for a fault that, not for something they did, but something that somebody did to them. How is that? So let us try and make sure that we don't do it because it was done. We don't let things slide because that's the way it has been happening. Then we won't find the change that our country, Nigeria, needs. The government and the people in authority and corruption, everything, if you look at it, is breathing right down to the house. If we allow, whatever we allow is what we will experience. If we say from now we want things to be different in our communities, in our country, then things will be different. But it won't happen if we all sit down and say that's the way it has been happening. Don't put the child out there, he will be ashamed, will be scared. If we say no, no more shaming, then no more shaming for the abuse, and more people will be able to speak up and receive respite and full recovery. So the other thing, leading the next point that I'm going to also highlight here. Sorry, I'm not reading all the comments. I just really want to put out these points first, then I'll go back and see the comments. So please don't just keep putting out the comments, because other people are reading it. So don't feel that your comment is not valued. Absolutely valued. At the end of this, I will go back and read everything, and I will find time to make sure I answer some of the questions. So the other thing is, people keep saying something about stigma and shame and how he will never have a life again and all of that story. But then I'm asking, and that's the question I'm throwing out to you as you're watching and listening, who should be ashamed? In a situation like this, who should be the person ashamed? Is it the person who has not asked for it and was molested or violated, or the person who actually perpetuated that act? Because by my understanding, the one who did evil should be the one ashamed, not the person who didn't ask for it and was abused. So if we think about these points again, it will help us be able to support this woman and make change happen for them and make sure that they find justice. Like I said, you might not like the lady's face, you might not like her approach, you might not like the face of her son, but one thing is that there are thousands of people living through her who will never have the courage to share it. Not just those who have experienced it. Also, she's making a way for a better life for our children. You never know. Like we said, it happens in a lot of places. So, but if this thing is curbed now, then children will be saved this horrible experience of being abused now that will influence their life and their quality of life. So we need to shame the person who did the act, not the person that was abused. There is no need for them to be ashamed. But like I said, change will start from us. It's what a society promotes that will influence how they act and react. So if we promote the fact that a person who is raped, a person who is molested, a person who is neglected, a person who is a victim will be shamed instead of the person who perpetrated the act, then it will be that way. Because as I'm speaking, the people who have done this or who have been accused There are people that have been alleged. I don't want to start mentioning their names, but if you watch the videos, you will see the names. They've been accused. These two seniors have been named, and then the teacher also named for the violent way he managed the boy. They are nowhere to be found. Nobody is talking about them. Everybody is centering on the fact that, oh, remove the child from social media. They are blocked. There must be something that they are hiding, because it doesn't make normal sense to me that a person who was abused is the one to be hiding their face instead of the person who actually perpetuated the act. So if we begin to turn this thing around, reflect on it, and act adequately, then those who have been abused will be able to come out and speak up. Then you know that, honestly, communal living has a lot of plus. But if people start to speak of some of the gory experiences they went through in terms of neglect, in terms of rape and all sorts of things, you'll be shocked. But they can't, because our society does not give them the opportunity. Our society shame the abused instead of the abuser. God help us. So the other thing, again, is taking responsibility. Now, a school has been accused, and this school is a renowned school. It represents a lot of things to a lot of people. And if you go back, I know Deeperlife was, will I say, they gave birth to the whole contemporary born-again thing if you came from Nigeria. Yes, they've always been there. When I was in secondary school, they are the ones doing all the prayer meetings, the Bible studies, and all of that. I think it's Deeperlife and Scripture Union then. So a lot of people got to know the whole Christianity and born-again Christianity that we all follow in Nigeria and in Africa through Deeperlife. So they are well-established organization in Christendom. So if a thing like this has happened, and it's not just them, I'm throwing this open to every Nigerian, we have a problem taking responsibility for our actions. We always want to point finger at somebody else. When something goes wrong, the typical first thing we do is to say, oh, if it's not what you did to me, or if it's not what the enemy did to me, or if it's not what my village people did to me, or if it is not what, like they're always pointing fingers. If we start taking responsibility, and I think that also comes with the fact that people are punished unjustly or unduly, so they end up trying to cover tracks. People are shamed, like this boy is being shamed for nothing. So there's this culture over the years that you don't come out and declare your fault, that declaring your fault is actually a sign of weakness. But no, it's a sign of integrity. As a society, as a community, and as an organization such as Deeperlife, I want to believe that taking responsibility and showing some form of dignity in this situation is something that is vital. Now, come out there and say, see, we do not condone this. I know the one of their secretary has come up and made statement, but they should follow it back to back. It wouldn't have gotten here if they had done the needful. As soon as you hear it, you curb it. And I'm not just putting this out to Deeperlife people. All of us, including my very self speaking, we need to become more aware of the fact that taking responsibility for our actions, saying, actually, I got it wrong, I could do better, reflect on it, and try to do better next time will actually make life a lot easier. Because even in regular things, people point fingers. Their blood sugar is high. The next thing, they are pointing finger at the village person, at the great-grandmother for making their blood sugar high. Meanwhile, they're the ones eating the wrong things. I'm just using this as an analogy, but you get it. If you're from the Nigerian community, you understand what I'm saying. The enemy has been blamed for a whole lot of things that is actually our fault and our responsibility. So the best thing that the church could have done or can still do, is not late, is to get out there, be more visible, say we don't condone this. We will make sure that justice is found. What do we need to do? How do you want us to do it? Be open. Let's not try to use influence and power, like I said, to subdue the weak. Because an organization, a government is bigger than one individual, even though the individual voted the person. So when you try to, there's a bully culture. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's a bully culture. The first thing somebody wants to do to you is try to shut you down. Especially when you're saying the right thing and they know they're at fault. They try to shut you down. Shush, don't say it. There's a lot of shushing in our community. And it's time for us to make a change with every aspect of it. If you can see the shush situation, even in the government, you see the NSAS situation. So that's the way it is. There's so much shows. So people are going about carrying burdens that are not their own. So the more and the earlier we begin to take responsibility for our actions and act in way of integrity, that will actually increase people's faith. Because a lot of people are falling by the wayside in terms of Christianity in the last few years, because you just feel like the people you think they will act differently or act correctly will end up disappointing. You know, so that impacts a lot on our faith. So it's every one of us, our responsibility to begin to make sure that the change we expect, that we walk in that light. It's not an easy walk, yes. Like, I'm not sure it's easy for this woman, because she would have been preferred to be comfortable, do what she used to do, be just a normal person. But now she can't even walk on the road. She can't even stay in her own home. So it's not an easy thing. But determination, and when we are determined as a nation to find change, change will actually happen. But if we see change and we don't make effort for that change, then there's a problem. And I'm just going to look down here to see, I've talked about change that comes with a price. Somebody has to pay the price. Jesus Christ paid the price. He went to the cross, the ultimate sacrifice he made, so that you and I will receive redemption. So somebody always pays a price for a change to happen. And I won't beat that matter too long, because I don't want it to be too long. And the next thing is being dismissive. I put it down here. People are like I said, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, don't worry, it's a child, will recover. Oh, we are dismissive in many ways. Please, let's not be dismissive. There are things that matter to every individual. Our mental health, yes, we might not see a physical scar, but actually our mental health is powerful. And even the Bible said, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. So the way you think is the way you are, and you act accordingly. And a lot of people are going about because of, and will I say, exercising aggression, anger, being unfair to others because of their experiences in the past. So the more we become a bit more concerned, sensitive to other people, the more we will get the respite that we need. The more we be, I'm just trying to figure out what was going in those children's heads when they were doing it. They did it the first time, second time, third time, until I'm sure, as strong as that child is, he must be showing some form of pain. And they continued, and they saw that they were actually giving him physical scars, and they were still going on. And you're thinking, oh my God. So the more we listen more. Let's listen a bit more to people. They might actually confide in us, and you might actually be the solution that the person needs to be healed. So let's refire our community life in a way that we look out for each other. Because I think there's over the years, there's this thing that every man in his own tent, so you fight your own fight kind of situation. And it doesn't matter, as long as I achieve what I want. It doesn't matter what the other person thinks. But we all need each other. And what we do affects everyone. We don't want our children to go through what Don Davis went through. And so it starts with us making the difference. Finally, before I go to my last point, I'll just go to the comment section. I'm sorry again that I'm not able to read all the comment sections as they are coming. And it says the school is so responsible for what happened. They failed to protect, safeguard Don Davis. And that's Tochukwu again. You couldn't have put it better. Yes, they failed. There has to be rules, proper training in every school, proper adequate staffing. It's not just people who know what they are doing. Every school should have that. And there should be a counseling session, especially for those who are boarders. Boarders are at risk because their parents are not there. And especially for these young ones. For the young ones, the first year ones, they've just left home. And I know that in Nigeria, a lot of them leave home as early as 9 years to go to high school. And probably they've been shovel-driven to primary school. And then they find themselves alone, taking full charge of their life. So there has to be someone, a one-on-one mentoring for these children, not just student mentors. But I mean teachers, the house masters or school mistresses or class mistresses or masters, however it is worked. The school absolutely failed, and they should take responsibility and make sure that this child is well looked after. Yeah, I agree with you, Tochukwu. And I'm just going to see what I can read again from the comment section. It says uprightness and doing your job is not tied to your faith, Okay, I think Copsben is just responding to Extra Step CEO. If you are a teacher, do your job. You are held at a high standard. Exactly, I agree that. And Extra Step CEO says there is a high degree of duty of care expected from teachers in a Christian school. Exactly, that is what I am also saying. There is an expectation. Yeah, if I send my child to a Christian school like Deeper Life and pay so much amount of money, I must have come to the conclusion that morally, spiritually, intellectually, that child will be well looked after. So yeah, it's their responsibility. Blue Jean, thank you so much, Blue Jean, for coming. Hi. I'm just trying to catch up on all of these comments. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Combatant Maggie. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate everyone for being here. And to my final and last point, I'm just going to talk about the punitive damage. Yeah, I know that the media has been going about the fact that the woman requested for 100 million naira or something like that. And I know the woman has been trying to defend herself from her last video, saying she didn't ask for it, she has not requested for any money. But this is my own perspective and what a little bit of what I know that happens here. Look, and I think there was someone who said she was rooting for her until she saw the news that she requested for 100 million and then she gave up. But I'm thinking to myself, no, actually, I like the fact that the woman is not focusing on money. She's actually focusing on making sure that her son recovers. That is excellent. And that is why I love this woman and her courage. She didn't just run out and say, oh, you did this to my child, give me money. No, and I think that's what she's trying to portray. Now, as this child is getting better and we are seeing all the scandal that is coming through and we are seeing that people are trying to shut them up, they are receiving death threats. Somebody actually told her to go finish herself. Then they had to move out of their home and they need a lawyer and all of that. We don't know how long all of this is going to take place. So you begin to see that she's spending money that she doesn't have. And obviously, I've also read comments like the child will not be taken in school. So it's obvious, we know that because they are the sacrificial lamb, that they will need money, they will need assistance. And I hope we all rally around these people and make sure that they do. And I hope that the school will take full responsibility. And I just want Deborah Okezie to know that she's not out of place. If next week or next tomorrow I hear that settlement is being talked about, as long as it is done legally, so nobody will point fingers at her tomorrow and say, oh, you just know. Because it's out there, legally, let the lawyers put in for something. It is not wrong for you to ask because you need it. That boy needs the best now because he's the one that has gone ahead. He's the sacrificial lamb that a lot of people will receive the change. A lot of children will be saved from this type of trauma. Schools will sit up because she has spoken up. If she didn't, it will just be there. We won't know. She will take her child quietly. I don't want trouble. Oh. She will go to hospital, treat the child quietly, and put the child in a different school. Peradventure, something again will happen. If not to her, to somebody else. But they actually put themselves out there and they are saving a whole lot of people from this headache. So, demanding for punitive damage at some point is not wrong. She deserves it. And if at any point we see anything going on in terms of assisting her, yes, her safety is paramount because people can do anything just to make sure that they feel good in the eyes of others. So for me, I don't believe it is wrong for her to demand. But the thing I said again, she has taken it the right step because she's not focusing on money. Nobody will put their child out there. I don't know any sane person that will put their child out there to be abused so that they will make money. I know people do strange things. But for me, I don't think we should condemn her if we hear tomorrow that lawyers are filing for her to receive some form of compensation, for her and her family to receive some form of compensation for what they've been put through. That is absolutely legal. So we shouldn't judge her by that because they will need the money. If that child needs, if in Nigeria, they won't be able to support this child and make sure that he doesn't suffer shame to put him in a school where he receives decent education, then so be it. She needs the money to relocate this child to a different country where she will get the education that her son requires, where she herself will feel safe. So that's actually my own opinion, and that's something I wanted to just put out here. And that we all are responsible for our community. We all are responsible for the change that we clamor for. Yes, if we clamor for change, then we have to do something different. We have to take different decisions. We should be those people who make things happen, not those people who stand and wonder how it happened. Yeah, let's not just be lookers. Let's be action people. We live by what we say, and God will help us. Thank you so very much for being here. I really appreciate your presence. I don't take it for granted at all, and I'm going down again to the comment section just to see if I know I've missed a whole lot. Yeah, I'm just going to see who. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking down at the comment section just to see. I know I missed a whole lot of things. Man no man. Blue Jean is saying man no man crimes has been with the society since Adam left the garden. Yeah, but then if we want change, we have to do something differently. Tochukwu Njoku said Nigerian society is always victim shaming, and it's so sad. Honestly, it is sad. The victim should be the one to raise up their head high and walk. They shouldn't be covering themselves in shame because of what they did not call for. They didn't ask to be violated. They didn't ask to be molested. So they shouldn't be ashamed. And it's time we try to support them in Nigeria and make sure that the victims get justice, that they are not bullied. Yes, it's the people who have perpetuated the matter that needs to bury their heads in shame and repent. Okay, I'm just reading. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you so much. Please share if you have the capacity. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, okay, I'm just reading one from Extra Step CEO. There are so many comments. Sorry, I might not be able to get to yours. I'm just random picking comments. It says some parents don't visit their children in prison. Oh, shame will not allow them, but when they go and visit their kids in the boarding house, na feast. God help us. Please, as parents, let us look after our siblings, our children, our siblings, and our wards generally. Let us know what they are up to, because you never know. But if we do it right, then it will be right, not just for us, but for our children and our posterity and our nation as a whole. We all want change for Nigeria. Ngozi Atiti, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. And she said the mental health of Don Davis and the rest should be checked. Exactly. I think I heard from one of the updates the mom gave that he's receiving counseling. I want to believe it's professional counseling, and he does need it. It should be an ongoing thing for him. And that's another reason why they need money. They need proper professional counseling for that boy to recover from what has happened to him. Josephus, thank you so much for being here. There is the Child's Rights Act as well as the Human Rights Act of 1998, where it says which are all to safeguard children, and perpetrators should be brought to book. Exactly. The perpetrator should be brought to book. Everybody is removing, like nobody is even trying. People are trying to justify what they did. No, they should be brought to book. And the church should take responsibility for all of that. And Blue Jean say, please, I just want them to allow children to carry license. Oh gosh, Blue Jean. That's drastic. Oh gosh. Oh Lord. Yeah. I say boarding schools are the new microwave. You put a boy in and another species come out after 6 years. Honestly, especially the fact that they go in really young in Nigeria. They go in really young, as early as 9. Children are off to boarding school. And imagine, most of them are pampered. They go to boarding school. From boarding school, they go to university. Suddenly you don't know the children again, because you didn't. After 9 years old, they only spent holidays and maybe 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks here and there, and the 1 hour, 2 hours visit. So I think it's something we all have to review. As much as I love my boarding school experience to a reasonable extent, obviously I didn't board in my junior year. I was a boarder in my senior year. I think my fourth and final year. So that made a lot of difference. But those who actually went to boarding school from year one, they have a different story as well to tell, because at that time you have the seniors that are acting up and using undue influence. And you can see all of this in our society. Everyone that happens to handle a place of authority becomes something else. Yeah, as soon as they appoint me something right now, I become something else. So God help us. Change will come. And I pray that Don Davis will find justice. So I'm going to be rounding up here. Once again, I say thank you so very much for joining me. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel. I would really appreciate that. Thumbs up for me and share my videos if you can. I really appreciate your time. So I'll keeping you updated, and if I find anything that I need to share, I will also bring it up as soon as possible. So till I see you next time.